Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before we begin tonight's ceremony, I would like to introduce current members of the NFHS Board of Directors. First, our president, Nina Van Erck from New York. Next, our president-elect, Rick Wolko of Iowa, accompanied by his wife, Barb. Kevin Charles of Delaware, representing Section 2, accompanied by his wife, Sharon. Ralph Swearingen of Georgia, representing Section 3, accompanied by his wife, Evelyn. Sherm Silling of North Dakota, representing Section 5, accompanied by his wife, Jackie. Harold Slimmer of Arizona, representing Section 7, accompanied by his wife, Lori. Mike Cobries of Washington, representing Section 8, accompanied by his wife, Jan. Karen Lennar of Michigan, at-large member representing Sections 1 and 4. Mike Harris of Virginia, at-large member representing Sections 2 and 6. Benny Bennett of South Carolina, at-large member representing Sections 3 and 7, accompanied by his wife, Frankie. Bob Gardner, Executive Director of the NFHS, accompanied by his wife, Bev. Ladies and gentlemen, let's show our appreciation for your Board of Directors. Also here tonight are 4 previous inductees in the National High School Hall of Fame. From Mississippi, class of 1995, Lindy Callahan. From Utah, class of 1999, Dick Rosetta. From New Mexico, class of 2003, Jim Holzman. From Ohio, class of 2009, Claire Mascaro. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the presider for tonight's ceremony. From the New Mexico Activities Association, Robert Zayas.
Thank you. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be the presider of the 2011 National High School Hall of Fame banquet. I would like to commend Bob Gardner, Executive Director of the NFHS, and his entire staff for their dedicated efforts to make this banquet and our conference a first-class event. As we all know, the work behind the scenes is very seldom noticed, but very much appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an incredible evening in store for you. It is now time to meet the 2011 inductees into the National High School Hall of Fame. Please focus your attention on the stage or one of the video screens as this year's class is introduced. First, the former Executive Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dan Washburn. Considered the best football official in Missouri history from Springfield, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Emery Dilday. One of the top wrestling officials not only in Florida, but around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rick Touchy. Ladies and gentlemen, the winningest high school basketball coach in history from Granbury, Texas. Please welcome Mrs. Leta Andrews. The most successful football coach in Iowa history from Harlan. Give a warm welcome to Mr. Kurt Blatt. One of West Virginia's top wrestling coaches from Oak Glen High School in New Cumberland. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Larry Shaw. The basketball and track and field coaching legend from Cliff, New Mexico. Please give a warm greeting to Mr. Pete Schock. One of the top high school athletes in Arizona history and Hall of Fame lineman with the Minnesota Vikings. Please welcome Mr. Randall McDaniel. Considered the best high school and college baseball player in Arkansas history before his days with the New York Mets. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Kevin McReynolds. Ladies and gentlemen, the undefeated high school wrestler from Tulsa, Oklahoma, who later won an Olympic gold medal. Give a warm welcome to Mr. Kenny Monday. Considered one of the top high school basketball players in Pennsylvania history, who led Carlisle High School to 4 consecutive state titles. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Billy Owens. Representing the late Brad Van Pelt, one of the top multi-sport athletes in Michigan history. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to his son, Brett Van Pelt. Please rise and turn your attention to one of the video screens for this year's rendition of our national anthem. Please be seated. SMI Awards is the exclusive supplier of Hall of Fame rings, and all 12 of our inductees this evening have received rings courtesy of SMI Awards. Please join me in thanking Doug Dunleavy and his staff at SMI for their generous contribution. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce the Executive Director of the NFHS, Mr. Bob Gardner, who will present the President's Award.
Thank you, Robert. It's my privilege to recognize the leadership of Nina Van Eert, who served the NFHS as president during the 2010-11 school year. Nina is the 51st president of the NFHS board, but just the second female to serve in that capacity. Her leadership has been marked by a willingness to get involved with the membership from the very beginning. In meetings ranging from Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, to Boise, Idaho, and sections in between, Nina took part. She embraced the local culture and cuisine, from country line dancing in Nashville to basque dancing in Boise, from dining at the Alamo to small-town Americana in Iowa. Nina participated. Her passion for life just naturally fuels her enthusiasm. But it's her passion for high school sports and young people that guide her decision-making. She has proved her value in her presidency. Perhaps the hallmark of Nina's year revolved around the resolution of the national championships issue. Her leadership style permitted open discussion and helped move the NFHS beyond the issue following the decision. Many executives have said that there is a new feeling of unity among our membership, and for that, Nina deserves our thanks. We also completed a new 5-year strategic plan during her term. She participated in the discussions and wholly supported the effort to the full board. It is a good plan that future presidents and boards can utilize to achieve the desired results for the organization. Nina, I have enjoyed serving our membership with you. You are a great leader and a good friend. On behalf of the membership, I congratulate you on a job well done. Please come to the stage at this time.
Good evening. This year, the privilege of serving as president of the NFHS Board of Directors has been an experience that has been both professionally and personally rewarding. Attending the section meetings provided me with insight into the various structures of governance. I observed strong relationships that bind together the executive directors and commissioners. I reaffirmed that the young people served by our member associations are in good hands because of the talented assistant directors. The hospitality extended to me was second to none. Thank you all for making the experience one that will be cherished always. This year, not without its challenges, was successful thanks to the leadership of our executive director, Bob Gardner. The seamless transition served the Federation well. Bob's collaborative approach, along with his commitment to listen to the views of the membership, led us through the minefield of the national championship debate. Bob, along with Jim Tenneper, have moved us forward to becoming a more united Federation. Please join me in recognizing Bob Gardner and Jim Tenneper for their efforts. I would be remiss if I didn't show my appreciation for the Federation staff. Each and every one of you is so gifted in the area of responsibility. Your vision and dedication to your work will continue to enhance our ability to do our work more effectively. Thank you. And to Mark Koski and Motrice Merriweather, even without the tiara, you have always made me feel like a queen. Thank you. I did get the tiara this weekend. For me, serving as the NFHS president was an opportunity of a lifetime. I'm eternally grateful to the New York State Public High School Athletic Association's officers, Mark Ward, Eileen Troy, Pat Pizzarelli, Ron Black, and Steve Broadwell for their unwavering support. Thank you. I'm humbled by the presence of our association's past presidents, Dean Veenhoff, Jim Tully, and Kathy Faber. I'd like to also recognize our association's administrative staff, Joe, Bob, and Todd, and our administrative assistants, Sandy, Barb, and Roz for picking up the pieces and keeping the day-to-day operation of the office going in a positive direction in my absence. Tonight is rather special for me because members of my family are here. A combination of Van Erck, Quilty, and Friedman are present this evening. I'm so deeply touched that you're here to share this night with me. Each and every one of you have shown unconditional support of my professional responsibilities, even when they conflict with our family functions. Tonight, you will understand why I feel so very blessed to have a job that I truly love. For me, one of the highlights of the annual NFHS summer meeting is the opportunity to honor individuals for their outstanding contributions to the interscholastic athletic program. Tonight, we can be inspired by the 12 Hall of Fame inductees for their commitment to improving their sport and improving the athletic programs for young people. Please accept my congratulations. When faced with deciding the focus of my remarks for this evening, it was really a rather simple decision for me to make. I chose to share with you a small portion of a keynote address I prepared for the athletic administrators in New York back in 2007. These words have become my signature because they represent my core beliefs about high school athletics. I was inspired by Dr. Richard Luker during his presentation to the members of the Strategic Planning Committee. We are blessed with a responsibility. We are the administrators of high school athletics and fine arts activities. Consequently, it is our duty to protect the education-based programs that offer meaningful opportunities to our student athletes. The tough financial times we are faced with today continue to threaten their existence. We must be proactive. We must articulate its purpose. We must speak publicly about the values derived from school activities. We must communicate the outcomes we expect from our programs. We are high school. We are about school community, not all-star teams. We are about healthy local rivalries, the ones that instill school and community pride. We teach citizenship, competency, civility, and commitment. We minimize risk, taking action to protect the safety of all competitors. We are high school. We establish effective codes of conduct. We hold athletes and coaches accountable for their actions and behaviors. We focus on the values of sportsmanship. We strike the balance between academics and athletics. We teach and model integrity. We console, we mentor, we parent. We are high school. We set the standards of fairness. We teach diversity. We encourage the acceptance of the weaknesses in others while training students to maximize their strengths and the strengths of others so that a common goal can be achieved. As we look to the future, let us work together to protect and enhance the notion of we are high school so future generations may reap the benefits of the programs that we respect and love so dearly. Hopefully, over the last few days, you've taken advantage of the opportunities to collaborate with your colleagues, attend workshops and general sessions. If so, you have been inspired. I encourage all of you to return home energized by the collective passion we share for interscholastic activity programs. I sincerely thank you for the opportunity to serve.
We will have a special autograph signing session immediately following tonight's ceremony in the foyer outside the ballroom. So we would ask that you do not approach the inductees at their tables during dinner. At this time, I would like to ask Benny Bennett, a member of the NFHS Board of Directors from South Carolina, to come forward to deliver this evening's invocation.
Good evening. Would you please join me and bow your heads for our invocation this evening? Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we've had to come together to share this time this week, for the knowledge and the opinions that we've shared with each other, that they've enriched our lives, and we do understand that this is no small blessing. We've grown together in understanding, and we shall all be the better for this. We are thankful for the knowledge that enriches our lives, as we are thankful for the fellowship which makes all of life bearable. May we continue to grow together even closer in order that we may share our problems and share our triumphs, that it adds to each other's lives. And may the food of which we are about to partake be blessed, and those who have prepared it for us. And as we partake of it, may it nourish our bodies, as our fellowship tonight will enrich our souls. We thank you for your bounty, as we thank you for each other. And may we prove ever worthy of all of the blessings that you've bestowed upon us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please enjoy the wonderful meal that has been prepared, and we'll be right back in just a little while to go ahead and really begin the Hall of Fame induction ceremony for the 2011 class. Thank you.
Tonight, a new roster of dedicated and inspiring individuals will take their hard-earned place alongside the select few who already inhabit this hallowed hall. An outstanding group of people who exemplify all of the very best qualities that high school activities instill in every participant. Tonight, we proudly welcome and salute the newest class of the National High School Hall of Fame.
Good evening again. We have a tremendous ceremony planned for you tonight, the 29th in the history of the National High School Hall of Fame. Since the beginning in 1982, we have inducted 386 outstanding individuals into this prestigious Hall of Fame. Tonight, we are honoring 1 administrator, 2 contest officials, 4 coaches, and 5 former high school athletes. Our 12 inductees were selected through a 2-level process involving a screening committee composed of active high school administrators, coaches, officials, and state association administrators, and a final selection committee composed of highly respected athletic, education, and business leaders from around the nation. Tonight, we will be presenting the 2011 inductees by categories. First, the administrators category, followed by the officials, coaches, and finally our distinguished athletes. Our inductees will be receiving their Hall of Fame award from Nina Van Erck, president of the NFHS, and their medallion from a representative of their respective state high school association. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 2011 inductees into the National High School Hall of Fame, beginning with a salute to the individual in the administrators category.
They are administrators, the unsung, who have a 24/7 commitment propelled by a deep and abiding belief in the value of high school activities. They have no playing field on which to compete, but they find ways to build them. And they win every single game that's played by the mere fact that they make it possible for those events to take place at all.
Our inductee in the administrators category is Dan Washburn of Alabama. Before his days as executive director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Dan Washburn was a highly successful football coach at Lynette High School for 15 years and superintendent of the Lynette City Schools for 8 years.
The life lessons that you're able to teach as a coach, I think, are just some of the things that you begin to talk about when you talk about coaching and coaching young people, and being able to teach. 40 years later, a student comes back and tells you what you've meant to them and how they raise their children now based on the principles that you taught them as a coach. That's just some of the things that I think is so valuable in coaching. Our coaches have just got to realize just how important they are in a student's life.
Washburn directed the Alabama State Association for 16 years and was responsible for a number of innovative changes that benefited member schools. One of the most successful changes was moving the state football and basketball championships from neutral sites to Birmingham. Washburn also was responsible for starting the All-Star Sports Week and Coaching School, involving 3,000 coaches and administrators, as well as the AHSAA High School Sports Hall of Fame.
Sportsmanship was one of the most important things, I think, that the Alabama High School Athletic Association attempted to put a program in to address just that. We always talked about sportsmanship, but we never put a visible program in to address sportsmanship and to bring put some real teeth into that program. And Brian Schulman and the Star Sportsmanship program in Birmingham, Alabama, came to me with a program that went online and had students and coaches take those programs, and now Steve Savarese and the Alabama High School Athletic Association, we started it 1 year before Steve came on board, but he was a part of that and making it mandatory that those student athletes take that Star Sportsmanship program, and I think it's had great benefits. It's cut down a great deal on ejections, and certainly it's so important. Sportsmanship is important.
In his final year, Washburn instituted the Star Sportsmanship Program, which continues today to have a positive impact on proper behavior by students, coaches, officials, and parents. Nationally, Washburn served a term on the NFHS Board of Directors, which was capped by a year as president in 2005-2006.
If I had a fond memory, I'd just have to say it'd have to be the teamwork that plays a part in all of athletics and all of the administration of athletics in a state or in a state association. I just need to thank so many, and I'm so humbled by this honor. I really am, and I thank the National Federation. I thank Bob Gardner and his staff and all the state directors for their faith in me across the years and their help to me. They've been such a great help. I can't start naming them. I knew Charlie Adams used to name about half of them, but I can't do that. They all meant so much, and I just want to say a special thanks to the National Federation and state high school directors and all the boards of control that are listening to this tonight. I've had more opportunity than anybody could ever desire. The opportunity's been there, and I've been blessed. I really have.
It is now time to present the award and medallion to tonight's administrator, one of the most respected leaders in Alabama sports history, the longtime leader of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Please welcome Mr. Dan Washburn. And now, presenting the Hall of Fame medallion to Dan Washburn is Steve Savarese, Executive Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association.
They are officials, the arbitrators, guardians of fair play. And being right means being perfect, in the right place, at the right moment, drawing on an encyclopedic memory of every rule, and then in a split second, unerringly making the one right call. They're often volunteers who, along with the whistles and flags, carry responsibility for the integrity of the sport into every single contest they officiate.
Our first inductee in the officials category is Emory Dilday of Missouri. Emory Dilday has been an official in Missouri for almost 50 years, and he's recognized as the state's top football referee for his outstanding 43-year career.
We're in, of course, Springfield, Missouri, but we're at John F. Kennedy Stadium, which is connected just across the street from Parkview High School. Parkview High School opened in the fall of 1956, and this stadium was a year later, opened in the fall of 1957, and played their first football game against West Plains High School, and were victorious, and I was a junior at that time and was able to play in the game. The following spring, we hosted a track meet, first track meet ever here, and I was in the high hurdles were the first event, and I was fortunate enough to win the race. And so I thought it was fitting, and then when I started my officiating career in the fall of 1964, my first game was here.
Not only did Emory know the rules, he also felt like he was smarter than the coaches. So not only would he help call the game as far as officiating, but he'd also want to call plays. So he was very interactive with the coaches.
Dilday officiated 50 state tournament playoff games, including 9 state championship games.
I love being a part of anything that involves young people. I was a scoutmaster for a good number of years in Boy Scouts. I enjoy coaching young people, and as an official, you're involved with the players.
Was my high school track coach. A lot of people don't know, but Emory was a tremendous high school athlete, and he was my hurdle coach. And so we first met in 1987 at Springfield Catholic High School, where he has coached track for a number of years. And then I'm now the athletic director at Springfield Catholic, where he is my head girls track coach. So I guess everything comes full circle. And you know, he is an institution, not just in officiating, but also in the high school track scene. And just the impact he has had in those two arenas is tremendous.
So between downs, I have numerous things to do. Get the down count, get it set, make sure the chains are stretched, and all those different types of things. Well, Emory has very little to do between downs if there's not a penalty. And so he always used to accuse me of when we had a change of possession on a punt or a change of possession as far as an interception or fumble recovery, of going out to the get-and-go for a cup of ice and a Coke, because he was always waiting on me. And Emory didn't like to wait on anyone, but I always told him I had more things to do and he was just going to have to wait on me.
In addition to his on-the-field accomplishments, Dilday has been Missouri football rules interpreter since 1982. He's also been supervisor of officials for the state football championships for 24 years.
What Emory did probably better than any official, he had all the requirements. He had good judgment, he knew the rules, you know, he's an interpreter, he knew the rules forwards and backwards. But what he really did well was control the game, control the coaches, control the players without being confrontational or without being overbearing. He was a guy that was obviously in charge, that had a innate sense, I call it natural ability as an official, to let you know when you were crossing the line, and you knew at that time with Emory you had to stop, but he always did it in a manner in which left no hard feelings about it, kind of unique and unusual in a guy.
It was a tight, nice ball game, and his crew was working extra especially hard, and I was getting a little strained and upset about something that was happening, and Emory just walked over kind of quiet-like and kind of stood beside me, put his hand on his chin and said, "Now why don't you relax?" He said, "Your kids are doing one whale of a ball game. If you just relax," he said, "they'll probably do a lot better, and so will my crew."
I got hit from the side so hard that it split the seam of my pant from the belt all the way down to the knee, and we took me over to the bench, and the trainer took athletic tape and taped my pants together so I could finish the game. So it's things like that you remember. The whole journey through officiating has been for me, so enjoyable from the relationships and the friendships that I've developed, not only with my fellow officials, but so many of the coaches that I have gotten to know that I would not have otherwise had the opportunity to meet.
Our other inductee in the officials category is Rick Tushy of Florida. Rick Tushy's days as a competitive wrestler were cut short by injury, but the setback paved the way for a legendary officiating career in the sport, which now has spanned 45 years and includes 6 Olympics. Tushy has been a referee for 85 World Championships and every Olympic trial since 1988. He has officiated matches in 90 countries around the world. Tushy has remained loyal to high school wrestling despite his international fame. He has refereed 23 state wrestling finals for the Florida High School Athletic Association and has been the state's rules interpreter since 1976.
I was a wrestler in New Jersey in high school, and I ended up going to West Virginia University, where I wrestled for 3 years under Coach Steve Herrick, and I ended up getting injured, and I wanted to stay with the sport, and I ended up staying with it as a undergraduate assistant to Coach Herrick. And then when I graduated, I stayed on and became a graduate assistant, helping the team and doing whatever I had to do to keep my roots with wrestling. It takes a little bit extra to be a wrestler, to be involved in the sport, because there's a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work.
Tushy has been a mentor and teacher to hundreds of high school referees in Florida. He has been commissioner of officials in Miami-Dade County and Broward County. Tushy has traveled the globe to referee an international match, only to return home days later to officiate high school competition in Florida.
I refereed in front of 15,000, 20,000 people in the round and went back to South Florida and refereed in front of 30 people. You must not forget where you came from. My roots have been in wrestling. My roots have been with the young kids all the way up through international level. And I feel that I owe the sport, and I'll do whatever I have to do to give back to the sport. And it's enjoyable to the point where I can see some wrestlers when they're in 9th grade. They come out on the mat and they may get their butts kicked. And then 10th grade, I just fortunate to see the same wrestler, and I remember him. He'll come out and he's doing better. And by the time he's a senior, maybe he's the one that's kicking everybody else around. So I enjoy watching the development and the maturity of the wrestlers, and it adds to their character and makes them tough, and this always carries over into life. And to me, wrestling makes you tougher for life.
He is one of only 2 referees to be inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame.
As long as I can maintain who I've been and how I've continued and what I am now, then they'll always, I feel, respect me. It was the best comment I ever had, and it could have been Kenny Monday, who's also going into the Hall of Fame. He said to me, or made a comment to the news, when I saw Rick Tushy come out on the mat, I knew I was going to get a fair call match, and I knew whoever won the match deserved to win it. To me, that meant more than getting accolades or getting anything else out of the sport. If the athletes respect you, and I think they do, then to me that's perfect for me. That's all I really care about.
It is now time to present the awards and medallions to the officials in this year's class. The Missouri official who officiated 50 state football playoff games and 29 state track and field meets from Springfield. Please welcome our next inductee into the National High School Hall of Fame, Mr. Emery Dilday. And now, presenting the Hall of Fame medallion to Emory Dilday is Kerwin Erhan, Executive Director of the Missouri State High School Activities Association. Our other inductee in the officials category is the Florida wrestling official, who has worked 23 state high school championships, as well as 6 Olympics. From the greater Miami area, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rick Tushy. And now presenting the Hall of Fame medallion to Rick Tushy is Donarvis Thornton, Associate Executive Director of the Florida High School Athletic Association.
They are coaches, motivators and strategists, people who set the standards and in the process change lives. They never win a game themselves, but they create winners. And they are, above all, teachers, and what they teach us is how much we can gain by encouraging and supporting the achievement of others in our lives.
Our first inductee into the coaches category is Leta Andrews of Texas. Leta Andrews is the winningest coach, male or female, in the history of high school basketball.
The girls knew it, the city knew it, and this crowd knew it. A win tonight by Coach Leta Andrews would tie the national record for most wins for a high school basketball coach ever.
Run! Come on, let's make it work!
Coach Andrews is somewhat of a legend here. Her name is on a banner in the gymnasium. The court is named after her, and the trophies, honors, and accolades over the years cover the hallway to her office.
Y'all, there's a lot of time left in this ball game. Let's get after it.
I thought I would grow up to be the next Dolly Parton and be a singer. And I would ride the bus home every day from school and get off. We lived in the country. We were, my parents were farmers and ranchers, and we farmed probably about 1,800 acres. And so when I got home from school, I would go to a lot of days to the barnyard, and I would sing, simulating Dolly Parton, Loretta Lynn, and thought I would be a singer and sing to the cows, the horses, the pigs. And finally one day my daddy said, Leta, I think you need to put that singing on the back burner and pick that basketball up and go to work and fine-tune your basketball skills.
She passed the all-time leader in boys basketball last year and will enter her 50th season of coaching next year with 1,346 victories.
We played in a tournament right before we knew the countdown was to almost 0. And it was a really exciting tournament because we played some of the toughest teams we played. And we kept on losing by 2 points and 1 point. And the camera guys and all these people were here, and they were ready for us to win. But we didn't get the win until we got there Tuesday night and got it at home for the whole Granbury. And that was more sentimental and special for everyone, I think.
We were here in the late 70s, and my husband got a great opportunity to move, and I followed him, and then he decided to change directions after 32 years of education, and then and Granbury was needing a girls basketball coach, teacher, and so we came back home, and Granbury is home because we both graduated from Granbury High School. So I've made a complete circle in my life.
When I was named by the board as the high school principal, she called me in my former school, my former home, at about 6 o'clock in the morning the next morning to tell me it was time to go to work.
She is a passionate individual who has such a high work ethic, and that's one reason I identify with her so much. We both learned that from our fathers and our families, but she works hard at everything that she does, and I appreciate that. And she does so to the good of everyone.
So I have such a love for my job, my work, and working with young people. It's such a pleasure, and I really, really do enjoy it.
She's really tough, but at the end of practice, you respect her so much because she brings everything out of you.
I love seeing them accomplish great things and be a really productive young lady.
We got done at a tournament, and we were at a high school, and they weren't cutting out trees, but they were like getting rid of trees, and they were just gonna go burn them. And she wanted one for her yard or something, so we took home probably about a 7-foot tree in our bus. And we have pictures of it, and it was just hilarious because it was so spontaneous. We didn't expect it.
Andrews has coached at 5 schools in Texas, including 23 years at her alma mater, Granbury High School.
Very proud of every team that I've ever worked with, because maybe they did not reach the utopia, but I saw them bloom as an adult, as they grew and matured, and a very polished person in our society. And yes, I can never look back and find anything negative.
She has led her teams to 16 state Final Four appearances, and her 1990 Corpus Christi Cal-Allen team won the 4A Texas state title.
I know that she is a legend in her own time. I know that she has produced some of the most fantastic girls basketball teams in the country, and I know that she works hard, and she not only trains these young ladies on fundamentals of basketball and being a great team, she trains them on how to be successful in the bigger game of life.
My first degree I have in college when I graduated is in elementary education. And when I did my student practice teaching, I saw then I can't do this for all my life. So I went back to school and got a secondary teaching certificate in English and kinesiology, and I've been in high school all my life, and it's just exactly where I want to be. I can't think of anything that I have such good relations with everyone I work with, and it's just been it's just been really no work at all when I think about it, because I'm doing what I love. I would like for people to remember Leta Andrews as a caring, sharing, giving, loving person to our society.
Our next inductee in the coaches category is Kurt Blatt of Iowa.
We wound up in this little town kind of by accident. I was headed to an interview in St. Louis, Missouri, and it was a Sunday, and we were living in Sioux City, and I'd just graduated from Morningside College, and we were getting on the road, and I grabbed a Sunday paper and just started looking through the want ads, and there was a biology opening in Harlan, Iowa, and it just happened to be a little bit off the beaten path, but yet only about 25 miles away from where I grew up in Exira, Iowa. So we decided to stop, and we ran into the superintendent and the principal and talked, and so just by happenstance, the head football coach at that time was also an old Exira alumni, so I got a good interview, and they offered me a contract that day, and I never made it to St. Louis.
You see him at concerts. We can, in the middle of winter in a snowstorm, come up here, I'll be here because I think I need to be, and there'll be old Kurt. He'll come in and sit there at a concert. He'll go to volleyball games all over the country. One year I'm sitting beside him at a B-team girls basketball game. And there's a girl underneath, and the ball came off the rim, and she didn't box out. And Kurt's, getting on her. He's yelling at her, box out, box out. And I kind of aside says, Coach, it's a B-team girls game. He says, if you're going to play, you might as well do it right. And that's, he doesn't care what it is. He wants our kids to be competitive and know what to do. And I think the whole student body sees that. Those girls know he cares about them, The music kids know he cares, and it works, you know. Our motto is, united as one, we get it done, you know. And that's kind of Kurt's the personification of that, I think.
Oh, I'll tell you what, you know, you come out on Friday night and the band's playing, and we have a huge flag they put down here in the south end zone, and they come out and they hoist that flag up, and they got homing pigeons, white homing pigeons, and they let them go, and then they shoot a cannon off. And I'll tell you what, people that don't know it's coming get a little bit of a jump out of that baby.
Kurt Blatt is the most successful high school football coach in Iowa history. In 33 years at Harlan High School, Blatt has won an amazing 355 games and lost only 37. His teams have won 11 state championships and finished second 8 other times.
What we have behind us here is a pretty good collection of a lifetime's work and a lot of collaboration between a lot of people, whether it happens to be members of the community, players, coaches, administrators, faculty, whatever. We all kind of have a hand in it, and it's a we thing and not an I thing.
He's really one of the kindest men you're ever going to meet. Maybe one of the softest heart people that you're going to have, and you know, he's just a great man, a great role model for our youth. Well, I'd say what I really enjoy and love about him, what he shows our kids, is servant leadership.
I think we accumulate wins because of the work ethic of our people and the time that they are willing to put in to get themselves to the point where they can play at a high level. A lot of our athletes are multiple sport athletes, and not too many years ago we were able to win the state track meet, the state baseball contests, state football and basketball back to back. Probably 99% of the practices I always end them and tell them you got to make sure that up there in that building that you're getting the very best job done up there that you can, as well as you are on the field. So we emphasize the academic part of it heavily as well.
He's more than just a coach. He's a leader, a mentor for a lot of kids. You know, one of the sayings that I've heard talked about already is let the chips fall where they may. Well, one of the sayings that he's also had through coaching is next play. And I think, you know, that has a large effect on our kids. You can't do anything about the play that's over, it's the next play. You know, if you lose a job, you can't sit there and feel sorry for yourself. What are you going to do now? And just things like that have had a great effect on all the people that have played for Coach Blatt.
Blatt was selected National Coach of the Year by the NFHS in 2009, and he was inducted into the Iowa Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame in 1993.
There's nothing you couldn't ask him to do, and he wouldn't do it in a heartbeat for anybody. He's got a big heart, and he wears it on his shirt.
No, I just walk down and I look up, and my wife sits up there in the same spot, and has for 33 years, or actually 43 years, and I think she missed one game, and of course we lost. But I look up and everything's good.
Our next inductee in the coaches category is Larry Shaw of West Virginia. Larry Shaw retired last year after a phenomenal 31-year career as a wrestling coach at Oak Glen High School in New Cumberland, West Virginia. Shaw led Oak Glen to 13 consecutive West Virginia 2A, 1A state wrestling championships, the 5th longest streak nationally.
You know, I experimented with things as a young coach and made mistakes and learned from my mistakes and turned those mistakes into, you know, positive results, and just, you know, managed to put together a program, a plan, and I stuck with it. Once I found things that worked for me, I didn't change a lot. I kind of was very stoic with what I did and very basic, and people kind of thought I was a little obsessive at times with my organization and management and things like that, and I tried to surround myself with people who thought, you know, along the same lines, had the same type of work ethic, and that really helped a lot. And of course then the community, obviously supported the things I was doing, and one led to another, and kids got excited, and the community was excited, and we had a lot of success, and the success we built on, and just kind of kept it going for quite a while.
Shaw retired with an outstanding dual meet record of 330 wins, 96 losses, and 4 ties. He coached 51 individual state champions, and his teams won 5 Ohio Valley Conference tournament titles. Oak Glen was Region 1 team champion 16 times under Shaw.
This was my first year of being retired from coaching. I haven't retired as a teacher yet. That's coming next spring, and I'm looking forward to that as well. But I just felt like I had been a head coach for 31 years, and I felt the time had came and to step aside. I had a very good coaching staff in place. One of my young assistants was kind of chomping at the bit, so to speak, to become the head coach. He was a former state champion for me, wrestled in my program, had paid his dues through the years working with the youth, with the middle school team, and an assistant coach for me. So, you know, it was his time, and I even, my last season a year ago, I announced my resignation before the season ever started. Kind of took all the mystery out of it. People kept saying, well, you'll never quit, you'll never step aside, you'll do it until you fall over, that kind of stuff. But I kind of knew that it was time, so and I left the program in pretty good shape, and I was excited about that too.
Shaw has been president of the West Virginia Wrestling Coaches Association and has served on several West Virginia Secondary School Activities Commission committees.
You know, I'm a reader. I'm a librarian. I mean, that's not a, I mean, a lot of people know that in our community, but in the world at large, I mean, that's not a usual connection for a wrestling coach to be a librarian, and I quite enjoy that. I enjoy books, and that may have been part of why I was so organized and managed everything down to the minute and that type of stuff. But no, there's not really anything special. I mean, I'm just a guy who grew up in a small town and coached in a small town, and I was very lucky in that respect that I moved from a small community in southern West Virginia to a small community in northern West Virginia, and it was a very nice fit that the communities were very similar for me.
Shaw has been inducted into numerous halls of fame, including the National Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2010. He was chosen Ohio Valley Conference Wrestling Coach of the Year 13 times and USA Wrestling National High School Coach of the Year in 2008.
I'm very humbled, and certainly was very surprised when I got the call. As I said earlier, I'm a school librarian, and when I got the call, this is an amusing story actually. Bruce probably remembers this, but when he called, I didn't catch his name at the beginning. The secretary transferred the call directly to me, and he said he was calling from the Hall of Fame, and I thought it was the Hall of Fame Book Club. I'd never heard of the Hall of Fame Book Club, but I got random calls all the time for people wanting me to preview books, and then he says, no, this is the National Federation of High School Hall of Fame. He says, maybe I better start over. And so we got a pretty good chuckle out of that. But it's a huge honor. I certainly was thrilled that the state of West Virginia thought enough of what I did as a coach to nominate me, and obviously it's a great honor for me and my family and our community as well too, for me to have been selected. The part I enjoyed most about it is the part I probably missed the most is going in with the kids and being with the kids in that environment after school. And we had a lot of fun. We worked really hard, and it was intense and at times very emotional, but there was a lot of joy there too.
Our final inductee in the coaches category is Pete Schock of New Mexico. Pete Schock's accomplishments as basketball and track coach at Cliff High School in a remote area of southwestern New Mexico have been nothing short of amazing. In 33 years, his basketball teams have won 9 state championships, and his track teams have claimed 4 state titles.
Well, I've been truly blessed. I got into coaching a little bit, maybe by accident. I had my own playing career threatened during my sophomore year of college. Laying in a hospital after surgery, not knowing whether I would even be able to finish my last 2 years, and went back to school, went to registrar's office and changed my major to education so that I knew that I was not ready to give up basketball and had to teach if I was going to coach. So that was kind of the start of it. And then I've just been so blessed being in the right place at the right time to be at the high school that I've been at for many years. Had a lot of great athletes, great community support, the support of a wonderful wife that basically raised our kids while I was off coaching. And so I've had a great opportunity.
Shock's basketball teams have appeared in 24 consecutive state tournaments, and his 797 career victories rank second in New Mexico state history behind the legendary Ralph Tasker. In addition to the 4 New Mexico Activities Association state track titles, his teams have finished second 3 other times and claimed 22 district championships.
I am fairly competitive. Within the first month or two that my wife of 39 years and I were married, we'd play board games, play Monopoly, play card games. If she dare won a game, I'd be mad at her for a week. So there is a very competitive side to me. I grew up in home of a coach. Actually was coached by my own father. So I was around it all my life. I had a love of all sports. And I'm sure that you could find a couple hundred referees in the state of New Mexico that would disagree with your assessment of mild-mannered.
Among his many honors, Shock was inducted into the Western New Mexico University Hall of Fame, the National High School Athletic Coaches Association Hall of Fame, and the New Mexico Activities Association Hall of Fame.
I'm at a small school in the southwest corner of New Mexico, Cliff High School. I actually started out my coaching career at a larger school. Cliff was home to me. My father had coached there for 41 years. There actually was another coach between us that was there for 4 years. The job came open. It was a great opportunity, a great time for me to make the move. And so actually 80 of the last 84 years that basketball team at Cliff High School has been coached either by myself or my father.
Shock was chosen Boys Basketball Coach of the Year by the NFHS Coaches Association in 1999, and he was president of the New Mexico High School Coaches Association in 1988-89.
I've been asked a lot over the last 5 or 6 years, when are you going to retire? When are you going to retire? And the reason for most of the questions is the fact that I have a son who is now in his 12th year of coaching, and they're wanting to get rid of me and bring him in. And I've said it a lot over the last couple of years. I may have a lot of wins, but I'm not even the best basketball coach in my family. My son has got an incredible gift with kids. He's got an incredible gift with coaching, and actually the sky is the limit if he chooses to do so. So I think there's people that are trying to nudge me out the door and try to latch on to him before he gets someplace that he won't leave. I've just been so blessed to do something that I love, to be excited about going to work every day. I'm humbled by to be associated with the 11 other people that are being inducted this year. You know, I look at their stories, I look at their resumes and say, how am I being included with these people? And certainly that is so with all the people that have been inducted before me. I am simply pretty much blown away by the honor.
It is now time to present the awards and medallions to our distinguished coaches. First, the winningest high school basketball coach, male or female, in the United States history, who will enter her 50th season of coaching next year, the pride of Granbury, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Leta Andrews. And now, presenting the Hall of Fame medallion to Leta Andrews is Peter Contreras, Assistant Athletic Director of the Texas University Interscholastic League. Our next honoree in the coaches category is the Iowa football coaching legend from Harlan, who has led his teams to 355 wins and 11 state championship titles. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm greeting to Kurt Black. And now, presenting the Hall of Fame medallion to Kurt Blatt is Rick Woolco, Executive Director of the Iowa High School Athletic Association. Our next inductee is the West Virginia coaching great who led Oak Glen High School in New Cumberland to 13 consecutive state championships. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Larry Shaw. And now, presenting the Hall of Fame medallion to Larry Shaw is Gary Ray, Executive Director of the West Virginia Secondary School Activities Commission. Our final inductee in the coaches category is the basketball and track and field coaching legend from Cliff, New Mexico, who has combined 13 championships. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Pete Schock. And now, presenting the Hall of Fame medallion to Pete Schock is Gary Tripp, Executive Director of the New Mexico Activities Association.
They are athletes, strong and confident, whose biggest muscle is often their heart. Athletes who awe us with their agility and their accomplishments, that a seemingly insurmountable challenge may only be the next stepping stone to greater accomplishments. By bringing out the best in themselves, they show us by example that each of us has that same capacity.
Our first inductee in the athletes category is Randall McDaniel of Arizona.
They line up Randall McDaniel in the backfield as a fullback in the eye. They do this quite often. And give it to Allen behind McDaniel, who takes it inside the 40 to the 37-yard line.
Oh, my Lord. McDaniel hits Mike Singletary.
Before his 14 years as a standout offensive lineman in the National Football League, Randall McDaniel was a two-time All-State selection in football and basketball at Agua Fria High School in Avondale, Arizona.
High school was the first year where I finally got involved and played organized sports for the football side of it. And I wasn't a lineman at the time. I was the tight end linebacker in those days, and just, you know, like I said, you do it with your friends. That senior year when we finally left high school, there was only 22 guys on the team. But those 22 guys, I mean, everybody knew they were in a game when they played against the association.
He came to school every day. He went 12 years in this system and never missed a day. He was always a gentleman. He always did his work. He never, ever got a disciplinary problem for anything. He was a superior young man then as he is today.
I mean, learning how to be a good sportsman. You learn that when you're in high school. Not everyone's going to win. Yeah, not everyone can always get the trophy. Yeah. But you learn from those things along the way. Your coaches were always saying that back then. Hey, those guys are getting the trophies this year. That's something to work for next year. Work a little harder so that next year, that's you up there and not sitting here again. Which is good. I think it's great for young kids to see. One of my little pet peeves is that everybody gets the trophy now sometimes. And, you know, you got to learn that. You can't always win. You got to learn how do you pick yourself up when you fall.
He also participated in baseball and track and field in high school, and he set the school record in the 100-meter dash that still stands today.
Every sport has carryover. I mean, basketball helps with your agility on the field if you're playing football. Football gets you stronger so you can do other things. I ran track, so I was always in shape. I played baseball for hand-eye coordination. I was able to do a lot of things well, which I think made me a well-rounded athlete.
McDaniel was a two-time first-team All-American at Arizona State University.
High school sports got me. It gave me the opportunity to go to college, be the first one in my family to go to college and get my degree, and it set the stage for future to now. So, yeah, but no, I just wanted to find a way to see the world, and sports has done that for me. My freshman year wasn't the best. I got in a little bit of trouble. Not trouble, but trouble with school. Didn't know they sent grades home. Met my dad in the middle of the street and got chewed out about no son of mine is going to go off to college and not get a degree. And then from that point on, after first semester, it got pretty, made the dean's list, and we turned it all around. We realized you are here for a reason. You're here to get your degree and your education.
Here in New York, the Marriott Marquis, the Vikings made their selection. This is what happened.
Minnesota has selected Randall McDaniel, guard, Arizona State.
He played 12 years with the Vikings and the final 2 years with Tampa Bay, and started 202 consecutive games through the end of his career. McDaniel was named to 12 Pro Bowls, was an 8-time All-Pro selection, and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2009.
He's one of the great athletes that ever played in the game of football. But he's also a great citizen, somebody that contributed to the community, someone who never embarrassed the organization, somebody who always was willing to help anyone who needed help, as evidenced by his Camp McDaniel and his pro-occupation now, which is teaching challenged kids.
Since he retired from the NFL, McDaniel has been devoted to education and involved in the community. He created Team McDaniel, a middle school program to encourage community service activities among youth. And he has worked as a basic skills instructor and tutor at the elementary school level.
One person makes a difference in someone's life. And like I said, I mean, my degree was actually in phys ed. But then like I said, along the way, I mean, I've always worked with young kids. Like I said, every program my wife and I have ever done in schools has been working with young kids. And I've been fortunate. I mean, like the athletics has given me a lot. Like I said, in the last couple of years, all these Hall of Fame, everybody goes, you know, which one's better? Well, I got to go in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but it gave me an opportunity to thank the people where it all started, which is this community here. So when I did that speech, I got to thank the people from Avondale where it all started. And this community has been great, and like I said, and so any little thing I can do to give back. I mean, and I understand, I always say my name shouldn't be on the building, but if it can help that one kid, or it can give that sense of pride of going, Randall made it. If he can do it, I can do it. And they always say linemen were the hogs back in the day. We were the ones doing all the grunt work. So to put my jersey here is I take it as a compliment, because fellow linemen sitting here, you come out, you got your hot dog, you throw your mustard, ketchup, your relish, whatever you want, and you don't have to be embarrassed about putting all that stuff on there, because what? This Randall McDaniel's jersey, he's a lineman. When kids ask me for an autograph, oh, Mr. McDaniel, you're going to give me that autograph, aren't you? I go, no, you're going to earn it. I go, you got to work for that. I just don't give it away. Even though they don't know I'll sign at the end of the year for everybody, but you're still going to earn it along the way. And so everything I learned here growing up, from being a good citizen, just being responsible, giving back, I carried it all the way through to now, and it'll always be with me until someday when I'm pushing up daisies and someone can say, oh yeah, he was a hard worker.
Our next inductee in the athletes category is Kevin McReynolds of Arkansas. Kevin McReynolds was one of the most feared hitters in Arkansas high school baseball history.
Opened up with a 2-0 lead. There's a long drive into left center field. Favada going back and saying goodbye. Home run, McReynolds.
Supporting your teammate with words is kind. Doing it with your bat is even better.
This one went deep to left. Back is Anthony. Back to the wall. Out of here! Kevin McReynolds, home run, and the Mets win it 7-4. Oh, brother!
I started in baseball, playing organized baseball back when I was 5 years old in North Little Rock, Arkansas, Burns Park, a very historic place in the nation, Burns Park. And it was organized, like I say at the time, teeny league. We didn't have any of the hit off the tee. It was all pitching. So we had the little guys pitching at the time, or the coaches, one or the other. And I ended up playing, all through the times, high school, college, professional ranks, and retired after 30 years, figuring I'd done my time. As I say, I played from day one, and it's one of those things, seemed like I was always playing baseball. If I wasn't playing it organized, I was out in the sandlots playing with the neighborhood kids, and we just lived and breathed baseball. Any athlete that's successful can look back and say, you have the talent, but you have somebody that's older and been through the routine to help you hone your skills. You're fortunate to have coaches that they may not have played in the professional ranks, but they played somewhere down the line, and they've taken an interest in kids in general just to go out and be coaches.
McReynolds led his Sherwood Sylvan Hills High School team to the 1978 Arkansas Activities Association Class 2A State Baseball Championship. He hit an amazing .634 and was the most valuable player of the state tournament and the Arkansas High School Baseball Player of the Year.
I was always taught, you win with grace, you lose with humility, and try not to mix the two up at some point. There's always going to be another day if you stay in the sport long enough. Everybody's out there competing, trying to do their best daily. Some days you fail, some days you succeed. Again, sheer numbers say you're not going to succeed, but there are always some that do succeed. And you hear stories all the time about kids coming from the most humble of upbringings, of beginnings, of small towns. The story is out there. The dream is always alive. You've got to go out and, hopefully luck falls your way at some point in the process. I was a pretty accomplished player in the state by my senior year, but had basically just one college offer to go play, and that was at the University of Arkansas.
Regarded as the best player in University of Arkansas baseball history, McReynolds was a two-time All-American and Southwest Conference Player of the Year. He set a school record with 33 career home runs, a mark that still stands today.
My freshman year there, we got to the final game of the College World Series. We ended up losing, but it was a great experience, and still am very good friends and see my college coach periodically through the year.
McReynolds had an outstanding 12-year professional career with the San Diego Padres, New York Mets, and Kansas City Royals. He was third in the MVP voting in 1988 when he hit 27 home runs and had 99 RBIs.
Statistically, you can look back on my high school career and say it's, you know, they're crazy numbers, because they were. High school baseball wasn't that emphatic in Arkansas at the time, but it's nice to know that some coach along the way thought enough of me to, I don't know if you petition or whatever you do in the National High School Hall of Fame, but it's humbling to think somebody thought that much of me at the time to warrant putting my name in there for consideration. It's a job. I mean, it really is. It's just it happens to be a game that you play as a kid. Most kids do play it, and you know, it's a game you love, and when it turns out you're getting paid for it, it's even better.
Since his retirement, he has been involved in many charitable endeavors in his home state.
It's a fun, enjoyable ride, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
Our next inductee in the athletes category is Kenny Monday of Oklahoma. Unbelievably, Kenny Monday never lost a wrestling match in 4 years at Booker T. Washington High School in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
At the YMCA, my two older brothers, Mike and Jim, started before I did. My brother Mike, we were going to the YMCA for an after-school program. Our school, Dunbar Elementary School, was right across the street. And our parents didn't get off work until 5, and so we got out of school at 3, so we had a couple hours to burn, and so they had an after-school program at the YMCA, and they started a wrestling program. And I kind of just was tagging behind my brothers, trying to go where they went, you know, and they started wrestling, and that was kind of the cool thing. All the guys that were probably the toughest kids in the YMCA and the leaders, they wrestled. And so I kind of just took to it right away, and I never looked back from the day I started.
Tulsa at the time, freshmen weren't allowed to wrestle. And but his mother was a very serious woman, and the father a very hardworking man, and they was able to work with the new principal at Booker T. Washington High School, H.J. Green, and was able to get freshmen eligible, giving Kenny then the opportunity to become a 4-time state champion.
You know, my parents were very instrumental in giving me that start and making me believe that I could be anything I wanted to be. When I first told my mom that I wanted to be an Olympic champion, wasn't like she gave any indication that that couldn't happen. By the time when I was 10, she got behind it and made me believe that I could be anything I wanted to be in that sport. If I just paid the price, worked hard, stayed focused, that I could achieve that. And becoming the first black Olympic champion in wrestling was an honor that I really didn't know until later on in life that was a possibility. And my coach Bobby Douglas kind of really brought that to my attention before the 88 games. And there was a lot of wrestlers, a lot of black champions that had the opportunity, and it never happened. And so being the first Olympic black champion was an honor that was very special in my life.
When Kenny came aboard here at Booker T. Washington High School, he was quite shy, but I knew he was going to be quite good. He had 2 brothers. I don't know if you mentioned the 2 brothers were outstanding wrestlers that went to other places in the city. But Kenny came here and made a name for himself, unbelievable name for himself. Tremendous worker, worked hard, made sure that he was the hardest worker in the wrestling every day.
Yeah, me and my older brothers were good in as far as competing and school and that whole thing. And so I think probably we tore up some furniture, growing up, that's for sure.
He was surrounded by some very talented wrestlers, and he was very quiet. He played his role very well. He started as a little 108-pound boy, Next year he moved, I think, to 123 pounds, and the next year to somewhere in the neighborhood of 130. And his senior year was either 136 or 41, but he was never beaten.
You know, when they see that he's done this at little Booker T, and to go and to get the recognition that he's going to receive, it will be inspirational, to say the least. It will be something we can use and with our kids.
For me, you know, growing up, once I realized that I was talented enough to be good in the sport, you know, then I wanted to try to pursue greatness. You know, I wanted to be great. I wanted to be a legend. I wanted to, you know, one of the things that I always talked about and thought about is when that final whistle goes off, how did I want my career to be defined? How did I want to be defined? You know, and so I tell that to kids, you know, how do you want to be defined? Because you will be defined one way or another. High school was a defining time. It was a very, very special time. And it was great. It really, it put me on a chart to achieve my dreams.
Our next inductee in the athletes category is Billy Owens of Pennsylvania. Although the state of Pennsylvania has produced many outstanding basketball players, few, if any, can top the accomplishments of Billy Owens.
You know, my dad had us playing baseball, track, just being active. And then probably around 7th or 8th grade, I started loving the game of basketball. And I let football alone, probably didn't play football no more in 7th grade, 8th grade, and I just stuck to basketball. And then from there, I just loved the game. I loved watching it. I loved dribbling the ball in the house. My mom used to get mad at me because I was breaking things in the house, and she used to always tell me, stop dribbling that basketball in the house. But I just fell in love with the game of basketball.
Billy never presented himself as a young man with extraordinary talent. He was extremely coachable, and I think that was probably his most significant characteristic as a player.
It was the best times of my life. It was just fun. I just loved playing in front of the crowd. Always, my friends would always come to the games. This gym we're in right now was always sold out. And it was just so fun. It's just every time, if I had a problem, but outside of basketball, when I got on the court, all the problems went away.
I can recall fans camping out in front of the gymnasium just so they had an opportunity to buy tickets the next morning.
We had good teams before I got there. My oldest brother, Perry Owens, they used to be 27-1, but in the game they lose is the first game in the States. They could never get past the first game. So I used to cry after games when my brother lost. So I told myself I would never lose the first game in the States, and I want to win it all, and I did.
Owens' legendary career at Carlisle High School from 1985 to 1988 included 4 consecutive PIAA Quad A state basketball championships.
Actually, my senior year, I saved up my best game for that game because I had 53 points and the opponents had 54 points. So I almost outscored their team by myself, but it was a great year for me my senior year. The game before that, we played Chester, and I had like 40-something points. And they said, well, this is probably the best game you will ever play. But I said, no, wait till the state championship game. I actually told them that, and I went out and scored 53 points.
Being the marquee player for your high school team over a 4-year period is really something that's not only remarkable, it's extraordinary.
And it's just memories in here of good basketball games against Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I remember one time we called a play and I got an alley-oop dunk from Todd Yu, who threw me the ball. Dunked it on this side, the crowd went crazy. It's just one of the good memories I had. I remember some bad memories when the assistant coach Gary Worley used to kick us out of practice because we didn't play hard enough defense. So it was just, this is my gym, this is where I got started. This is where I started my journey of becoming a good basketball player. There's just so many great memories in here. Got a lot of good players that used to play up there. You see I scored 3,298 points, the most in Carlisle history.
He led Carlisle to a 20-0 postseason record and an overall mark of 118-11.
I just miss the crowd. I miss the crowd cheering, you know, not cheering for me, but cheering for the team. You know, I didn't get no special type of treatment. You know, if I experienced something outside of basketball, I try to bring that team with me. But it's just the crowd, just seeing my mom and dad in the stands watching me with a big smile and hollering at the refs and telling my mom hollering, don't hurt my baby out there, things like that. So I just miss competing in the crowd. I hate losing. I hate people showing me up. I always wanted to be the best one on the court. And I worked hard at it though. In practice, I took it like it was a game. It's like, I think some of my friends probably would get mad at me because I would really go at them in practice. And it only made me better and it made them better. So I was very, very competitive.
Owens played 3 years at Syracuse University and was a consensus first-team All-American as a junior. He entered the NBA draft after 3 years. Owens played with 6 teams during his 10-year NBA career.
Billy's a very family-oriented guy. I think what holds him back from coaching right now is that he don't want to do the traveling because he wants to be around his family, which I don't blame him. You know, playing 10 years and 11 years in the NBA, being away, the hustle and bustle of that game, being away from his family. He's more family-oriented now, more down to earth. He's still a little shy guy, but he's just a whole lot more family-oriented. He has 5 kids and a beautiful wife, and that's pretty much what he does. He took a job coaching, which was close to home, so I believe he could be out there running around the NBA if he wanted to, but I don't think he wants to get out and just run around again. He had those days. 10 years, I guess, was enough for him.
I think that the town of Carlisle will remember Billy for a long time to come.
There's probably a billion kids that think they're going to go to the NBA, and it may not happen. But if you're a doctor, you got to work hard at it. If you're going to be a teacher, you got to work hard at it. Nothing comes easy. So I just, you know, I want to be known as a guy who just worked hard and loved the game of basketball and loved life.
Our final inductee in the athletes category is the late Brad Van Pelt of Michigan.
Number 10 of Michigan State University, Brad Van Pelt, a defensive back. Winner of the Maxwell Trophy in 1972, one of the all-time great Michigan State athletes. He's won 7 letters in 3 sports and will become the Big Ten's first 9-letter winner in more than a decade. He turned down a bonus offer to play baseball in order to complete his football season at Michigan State. Truly an outstanding athlete and one long to be remembered by the Spartans of MSU.
My grandmother's got a wonderful little attic in her cottage, and I used to go up there as a kid and read articles and share stories with my uncles. But you know, a lot of what I know is just being a multi-sport athlete and obviously being very successful in high school, leading on to his future career. But you know, just being an amazing pitcher and all-around athlete, and you know, dominating on the football field on just about every position he could play.
Brad Van Pelt was one of the top multi-sport athletes in Michigan history during his 4 years at Owasso High School in the late 1960s. He was all-state in football, basketball, and baseball as a senior, and also participated in track.
He always enjoyed the atmosphere, the camaraderie of his teammates, and the locker room, and especially growing up playing with his 2 brothers. You know, they got to play quite a bit together, especially in high school, which is why we're here. So that meant a lot to him. He's very close with his brothers, and I know he loved them and loved playing with them.
Van Pelt played offense, defense, and special teams in football, and he was a 3-year all-conference forward in basketball. He had back-to-back rebound efforts of 42 and 38 as a senior. In baseball, he threw 3 no-hitters and averaged 17 strikeouts a game. Although he was drafted by the Detroit Tigers out of high school, Van Pelt attended Michigan State University, where he amazingly played all 3 sports at the major college level. He was a 2-time All-American in football and won the Maxwell Cup as the nation's outstanding player.
As part of college, it mirrored his high school career, because he was a multi-sport athlete. He was, you know, All-American in several sports. you know, getting drafted into or wanting to be major league pitcher, as well as getting picked up and recruited by NFL teams. So, you know, it just never stopped. He had to be on the field, had to be competing, and you know, college was no different than high school for him.
With pro options in either baseball or football, Van Pelt headed to the NFL with the New York Giants in 1973. He played 14 years with the Giants, Los Angeles Raiders, and Cleveland Browns, and was a 5-time Pro Bowl selection.
His off-season workouts were a couple days before training camp, and he wasn't ever one to lift weights or do extra training to, you know, build himself more on the field. He was just that natural athlete. So there's just a lot of jokes about, you know, him never really, you know, being bench pressing as much as a place kicker, and, you know, being the weakest on the team as far as in the gym, but not on the field. So his work ethic was obviously on the field very strong, but off the field more family oriented.
Van Pelt was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2001, the Michigan State University Hall of Fame in 2000, and the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame in 2002.
I'd moved back to Michigan and was living with my father for a few years in my junior and senior years of high school, and he decided to start playing some basketball for a men's league in Owasso, Michigan. And he was always a very gentle person, even at 6'5" and whatever he weighed at the time, but he was still a big man. And a smaller guy had, you know, kind of tangled up arms with him, and my father was never one to really, you know, raise his temper that I saw on the field. And something got underneath his skin, and I'd never really witnessed how strong my father was until he just grabbed the ball and tried to turn, you know, with it, and this guy, poor guy, was stuck with him and lifted him off his feet and swung him around, and not in a violent way, but it was the first time I had witnessed his power, and that has always stuck in my mind to just kind of the athlete and the strength that he had, and it put into perspective what he could actually do on the field for me instead of just reading a story and trying to understand it. So that's probably, yeah, it's probably my favorite memory. From what I understand, my father in high school and in college was on the pretty straight and narrow, so not too many bad examples that he had set that my grandmother wouldn't want me to do.
It is now time to present the awards and medallions to our 5 distinguished athletes. Our first honoree is one of the top athletes in Arizona history, who became one of the best offensive linemen in NFL history. Please welcome our next inductee into the National High School Hall of Fame, Mr. Randall McDaniel. And now, presenting the Hall of Fame medallion to Randall McDaniel is Harold Slemmer, Executive Director of the Arizona Interscholastic Association. Our next honoree is the Arkansas High School baseball star from Sherwood, who later had an outstanding 12-year Major League career with the New York Mets and several other teams. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Mr. Kevin McReynolds. And now, presenting the Hall of Fame medallion to Kevin McReynolds is Joey Walters, Deputy Director of the Arkansas Activities Association. Our Our next inductee in the athlete category is one of this country's best all-time wrestlers who won 4 Oklahoma state championships, 1 NCAA title, and a gold medal at the Olympics. Please welcome Kenny Monday. And now, presenting the Hall of Fame medallion to Kenny Monday is Ed Shakely, Executive Secretary of the Oklahoma Secondary School Activities Association. Our next honoree is the Pennsylvania schoolboy hero who led Carlisle High School to 4 consecutive state basketball championships. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to salute Mr. Billy Owens. And now, presenting the Hall of Fame medallion to Billy Owens is Brad Cashman, Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association. And our final honoree in the athlete category is the late Brad Van Pelt, the multi-sport standout athlete from Owasso, Michigan, who later starred in the NFL for 14 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brad's son, Brett, as he comes forward to accept the award on behalf of his father. And now, presenting the Hall of Fame medallion to Brett Van Pelt is Gina Mazzolini, Assistant Director of the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Ladies and gentlemen, how about one final round of applause for the 2011 inductees into the National High School Hall of Fame. At this time, I would like to call upon Randall McDaniel, who will accept the awards on behalf of the 2011 induction class.
I just want to say thank you, Robert. From Texas, Oklahoma, and Pennsylvania, Michigan, Iowa, and West Virginia, New Mexico, Missouri, and Florida, Arkansas, Alabama, and Arizona, we are the class of 2011. I am honored and humbled to accept this award on behalf of my fellow inductees. I'd like to thank the Executive Director, Bob Gardner, President Nina Van Erck, Hall of Fame Director Bruce Howard, the Hall of Fame Selection Committee, and the Federation and staff for hosting this extraordinary event. All across the nation, in big cities and small towns, boys and girls, black, white, yellow, red, participate in high school sports and activities where they learn life lessons. They develop new skills and lay a solid foundation for their futures. This is all possible because of the people in this room. As coaches, administrators, teachers, officials, and supporters of high school sports and activities, you have created a place where students can thrive and discover their talents both on and off the field. Thanks to the leadership, your strong leadership, the National Foundation of State High School Association, 11 million students in 18,500 high schools are given the opportunity to begin the journey that has led myself and my fellow inductees to this stage tonight. For that, we are forever grateful. I've been extremely fortunate to be able to pursue two passions in my life. The first was football, and the second is education. I believe my success for 14 years in the NFL, a little nerve-wracking, but we're going to get through this. Like I said, I believe my success for 14 years in the NFL and for the past 10 years in the classroom is the direct result of my experience in high school sports. Outside of my family and my wife, the lessons I learned through sports have had the greatest impact on me. I believe one of the most important factors in the path you choose in life is the experience of your youth. The mission of the National Federation of State High School Association is to develop educational-based sports and activities that help students succeed in life. I strongly believe in this mission. Through high school sports and activities, we learn no one should be defined by the color of their skin or the neighborhood they call home. We enable the barriers dividing us to come down and the bonds we share to grow stronger. Through high school sports and activities, we encourage young people to pursue their passions and dare to dream, and we allow the doors of opportunity to open and lives to be forever changed. They say we learn all we need to succeed in life, we learn in kindergarten. But personally, I think the secrets to success can be found on the playing field. It's there. We learn character matters. So you must be responsible for your choices and accountable for your actions. We learn hard work pays off. So you must earn your way every single day. We learn no one gets anywhere by themselves. So you should listen to and respect those who came before you. We learn it's the name on the front of the jersey, not on the back of the jersey, that matters. So you must be a good team player. We learn success is not limited to gender, race, or socioeconomic status. So you should embrace diversity. We learn everyone has something to contribute. So you must work together to succeed. We learn true character is measured in the moment of defeat. So you should always respect your opponent and the game you play. We learn adversity as an opportunity to grow. So you should use it to make yourself better. We learn small actions can have a big impact. So you should use your talents to make a difference. And finally, we learn that what matters the most are the relationships you build. So we must take care of one another. I think these 10 lessons are all we really need in life. I know they're the lessons behind the success of each of my fellow inductees. On behalf of Emery, Rick, Dan, Leta, Kurt, and Pete, Kenny, Kevin, Billy, and the Van Pelt family, I'd like to thank the Federation and all of you here tonight for the work you do and the wonderful honor you have bestowed upon us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Randall. I would now like to call upon Bob Gardner, Executive Director of the NFHS, for closing comments.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you, Randall, for representing the class so very well and capturing who we are and what we do. And now, on behalf of the membership of the NFHS and our state high school athletic and activity associations, it is my distinct pleasure to congratulate and welcome the class of 2011 into the National High School Hall of Fame. Collectively, you are an amazing group who has achieved much, and we are proud to recognize you here tonight. You represent the best of what we do and who we are. We say that not only for your exploits in high school and beyond, but for the good persons you have become. You are models for us and the generations yet to come. For that, again, we say thank you. As we now bring this 92nd annual meeting to a close, let us reflect on the legacy that we share. In just 2 days, we celebrate the 235th birthday of this great nation, the birth of which came right here in this city. This city, founded on the ideals of tolerance and welcoming diversity. From that Declaration of Independence 235 years ago came the words, "Governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed." Is it not true that those immortal words describing this great American experiment that lives today are also the cornerstones of our state associations and our national federation? We govern with the consent of our membership. That is proper and an important part of our legacy. Therefore, we lead our organizations not from right, but from privilege. Privilege of serving our schools and our students. We believe in the values of our programs. We believe in the contribution they make to the citizen of tomorrow on whom this great American experiment in democracy will rely. Perhaps it is significant that we gather here where the first public school in this land began in 1698. The legacy of this city reminds us of the responsibility we have to the future of this nation through our most precious resource, the youth of America. Philadelphia has been called America's first city as a laboratory of ideas, a place of continuous innovation, exploration, and inquiry. May we strive to ensure that our programs are laboratories of ideas, innovation, exploration, and inquiry for the young people we serve, where our youth have the opportunity to participate in sport and performing arts, as our distinguished honorees tonight had when they were in school. May our students participate in programs where they may fail without harm and learn from their failure, where they may succeed and learn from their success. The times of the founding of Pennsylvania and Philadelphia must have been challenging. We can only imagine those times that caused the namesake of this great state, William Penn, to say, "Right is right, even if everyone is against it, and wrong is wrong, even if everyone is for it." Perhaps those times are not so different from today, as many of us who work in our arena know that those words often fit our rules and decisions we make and defend. May we stand firm when the situation demands firmness. But let us also remember that William Penn said also, "O Lord, help me not to despise or oppose what I do not understand." Let us resolve to embrace diversity and be open to new ideas, innovation, exploration, and inquiry. The continued challenges to our programs in the form of economic difficulties and budget cuts impact our schools more than ever. Yet we must stand firm for our programs. We do indeed have the #1 dropout prevention program in America. Our programs train tomorrow's leaders. Colin Powell said, There are no secrets to success. It is the result of participation, hard work, and learning from failure. Our programs have a lasting legacy. They do make a difference in the lives of the people we serve. They have a place in our schools, in our communities, in our states, and in our nation. Let us build on the great legacy of high school sport and performing arts. Let us return to our states, our communities, our schools, with a new resolve to strengthen our programs and build those values for a new generation of leaders. The footprints of the past shall serve as our guide, but the directions of the future will depend on our laboratory of ideas, innovation, exploration, and inquiry. Travel home safely and meet the challenges of the new year.
The 2011 inductees will be stationed at tables in the foyer area outside the ballroom for anyone interested in congratulating them or obtaining their autographs. At this time, please give your attention to the 2011 National High School Hall of Fame inductees as they depart the ballroom.